This is an exciting day for me actually because I've been sitting on this idea for quite a long time, and being able to just be here and be able to do this is a blessing. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Nectar Studios. I'm grateful for the opportunity. So let's party. All right, so today's going to be a very interesting day. We're going to be talking about self-esteem today. But before we delve into the topic of the day, I want to say my quote of the day, which is, a wealth of a man's wisdom is determined not by how much he says, but how well he listens. We tend to talk more than we listen. I always advise the young people like Coach Aaron, it's better to use your ears and your eyes than your mouth, because with your ears and your eyes, you always learn something new. You always be able to grow and be a better version of yourself. So talk less talk less, look more, hear more, and then you become a better version of yourself. So today's topic, we are going to delve deep into self-esteem. This is a topic that is I would say a lot of us young people are very conversant with this topic. At some point in our lives, we have experienced some level of low self-esteem, high self-esteem, narcissism, but that's a different story for another day. But just to give us a brief understanding of what that term means, self-esteem. So it's a psychological term which is it is used to describe a person's overall sense of self-worth or personal value. In other words, how much do you appreciate and love yourself? So you can either have a high self-esteem or a very low one. And we all know that low self-esteem has killed more people than, I would say low self-esteem is one of the things that leads to depression and mental illness. So it's like a slippery slope that starts from there, and then just kind of, when you keep saying these negative things about yourself, I'm not worthy, I am not great, so you start to see yourself in that dark place. Subconsciously you start to withdraw from the crowd, from people, and then that's when depression subtly sneaks in. So I would say, in my own opinion, I would say self-esteem is associated, low self-esteem is associated with depression in a very weird way. But we're gonna delve deep and see how that is possible. So to share a little fun facts about self-esteem. According to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-esteem is one of the basic human motivation. This is real, because if there's no way, if you see someone, this has happened to me before. So I was walking down the road and I just saw this guy, and he had really nice hair. I just thought, your hair is beautiful. He stopped and smiled so much, because to him, I just told him the best thing of this. No one has ever complimented me like that before. It's oh wow, that makes me feel so good about myself. Oh, okay, it's good. So in a way, we play a part in helping one deal with either high or low self-esteem. So it's being appreciated, being told that you're good, you're great, is actually one of the human beings' most valuable motivators. So if you're out there, please make it a point of duty to compliment someone once in a while. Okay, don't just make it all about yourself. You see someone with a good hair, compliment them. You have nice hair. Someone with nice nails. Dressing good, you look awesome. So it helps. We are all our brother's keeper. So let's put that out there. And you can also say that it is often our experiences form the basic overall experiences of self-esteem. So what you go through, and my guest today is going to help me dive into that. I'm sitting in the I'm digressing, but he's royalty, okay? So I just want to be, I'm excited to have him. He's royalty. He's done so much. He's one of my mentors, which I respect him so much. But I digress. Back to what I was saying. Our experiences shape our self-esteem. So if you grew up in an environment that is toxic, that you're always being told negative things about you, that your flaws is always being highlighted, obviously you are going to experience some level of low self-esteem. But if you grew up in an environment where everything is all fun and loving, people are throwing compliments here and there, you start to become that person. You start to act like that person. So you start to be, you start having this sense of I love me because everyone around me is showcasing and experiencing love. So our self-esteem is actually really affected by our environment. And to those who consistently receive overall critical or negative assessments from family, friends, for example, will likely experience low self-esteem. And also, like, I've realized that it is girls that have this a problem of low self-esteem. I've what like I've in my research and in just speaking to a lot of people, I've realized that it is mostly women and young girls that have had this experience of low self-esteem. It's very hard. I don't know. I mean, my guests can help me to delve deep into this. It is how do I put that? It is harder to find men that have low self-esteem compared to women. I don't know. It's just what I think, but I might stand corrected. Please, if you feel like that's the wrong assessment, please feel free, comment below and just let me know what you think about that. But they say over 70% of girls between the ages of 17 and between ages of 15 and 17 avoid normal daily activities such as attending school when they feel bad about their looks. This is huge. I think I personally experienced this in secondary school. The day I felt like I had a bad hair day, I would most likely want to avoid going to class because I wouldn't want to be out there looking like, oh my gosh, she has a bad hair. Look at her hair, like that. So it's like, obviously, I think the fear of even hearing a bad compliment is what stops you from even attending or attempting anything at all. So anyways, so that's my, I just want to touch on the topic for today, but we're going to go on a real break real quick. And when I come back, we are going to chit chat with our guest for today. I'm so excited, you guys. He's my first guest on the show. When I called him, he was like, anything for you, baby girl. I mean, that's not how he talks, but I mean, when you hear him talk, you understand why I sound the way I sound. So I'm going to go on a quick break. And when I come back, we will start the show. All right.
Welcome to Real Talk with AJ, an open, honest conversation with creative geniuses and industry experts. We are here with a sliced dose of motivation, served with truth, with a sprinkle of pure vibes. We are talking about everything: lifestyle, social issues, education, entertainment, spirituality, culture, relationships, life, and so much more. There is something for everyone. Catch us every Wednesday by 7:30 a.m. on Nectar Podcast on YouTube. I am your host, Jerry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Real Talk with AJ. I am your host again, Jerry. Okay, our topic for today is self-esteem. And like I said before, I am super excited to introduce my first guest. He is a well-rounded, multi-talented thespian with over 3 decades of consistent practice of entertainment and art on both the local and international scene. Guys, I told you, I'm in the presence of royalty. Right? I'm so excited, right? So Mr. Bassi is one who creates a community of happy people through his skills. He is very passionate about life, good living, managing and transforming conflict situations. I have seen him actually do these things. Like, I'm not just trying to hype him. I've actually, like, he's a mentor, he's a personal friend, and I can tell you, I've seen him work. And Mr. B is I mean, okay. I mean, he prefers to be called Bob, like B-O-B, Mr. B, but I personally call him Mr. B. See, he's an unconventional creative engineer whose experience span across all genres of entertainment, arts, industries. I mean, like, from live theater stages. I mean, he is good. Wow. He's good. From TV to radio. If you hear him speak, you will know why I called him to come and be my first guest on this show, okay? Film festivals, theater productions, event management, and so much more. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Bassi Okon-Bassi. Mr. B.
Thank you so very much, Miss Jerry.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here, and also a pleasure to be your very first guest on Real Talk with Jerry.
I'm super excited. Mr. How are you, Mr. B?
I am
You
blessed.
look good.
Thank you.
What
so
are you?
very
What
much.
cream are you rubbing?
Yeah. It's a Holy Ghost oil.
Oh, they better let them know.
But thank you. I'm blessed by the best, you know, taking life one step at a time,
That's
as
good.
we're often advised by our fathers and, you know, elder ones. So, again, it's great to be here. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
You look good.
I appreciate
You look
that.
really good. I haven't seen you in over 2-3 months, and you just disappeared and came back look glowing. Like, what's the secret? You have to tell us.
You see, when you eat mama's food, you know.
Mommy's was at the
yeah,
best.
the best,
Oh.
man. I don't do bukas, man. I don't do street side. Eat mama's food. You'll be
We don't
all
want no
right.
typhoid in the streets.
No.
Mr. B, so I mean, from the introductions, I'm probably sure like my listeners would want to hear more about your royalty in film. Like I'm sitting,
Thank you.
when you started making films and stage productions, most of us are not born. So to be sitting here with you and having this conversation with your wealth of experience, I mean, just take us through that journey of how did you start in the film industry?
Okay. I appreciate that. That's a multi-million-dollar question. Again, I started from the bottom, you know, coming from a family, a very religious, strict family. Daddy and mommy had their own choice of what one should be when we grow up, you know, but I chose to be in the arts because from a very tender age, I started appreciating soaps like TV sitcoms like New Masquerade, The Village Headmaster, their sizes,
I don't know
and
this
all you know, and then we will mimic them, you know, after each program. And people will be like, man, you do so well. You play the Igbo accent, the Yoruba accent, and all of that. So fast forward. Grew up, got to high school because my dad, a paramilitary officer, was constantly moved from one state to another, you know, so we finally settled back in Lagos and then got done with high school, got involved with drama and literary debating society. And then after high school, we had what we call a community theater. You know, I mean, I'm proud to be born and raised in AJ City, in Lagos. You know, stint of the Wafi thing too, from around.
Okay, wow, okay.
Yeah. So a friend, a senior colleague at that time, came from the National Theater, stopped by to watch a rehearsal, and he said to me, "You don't belong here. Come to the National Theater." So I visited. You know, when I visited, I saw professionals, and I mean professionals, the likes of Sam Loco, Efe of blessed memory, Tony. Just to mention a few, you know, while they were rehearsing, reading, analyzing, breaking down scripts, breaking down characters, I was sitting there and like, what are these people doing? When they gave me a script to come on stage, save for my voice, you know, my hands were shaking, man. The script couldn't hold, you know, but they understood it, you know, the butterflies, and I scaled that. And that's where it all started, professionally. But after the few presentations I did on stage then, because film wasn't really happening then, you know, cinema had happened to a point, but funding became a problem. So it dwindled and died, actually.
Wow.
And then stage took over. Then you had major sponsors like NIB or Citibank of those days.
Yeah.
A few banks and individuals were playwrights and well-to-do. Rashid Badamosi, Chief, you know. And then after those presentations, I did what you call a 4 years apprenticeship, you know, going from theater companies to theater companies, practicing, rehearsing, acting, and all of that, before I proceeded to college, the University of Ibadan. Came out of there, it was in, you know, we were on, you know. So going through apprenticeship, I had my hands in almost everything, concert theaters, concert shows, you know, even pageantries, musical events, radio production.
What don't you do? I think
know,
that should be the question.
I want to keep that out here. You know, so God also blessed me after I came out from college and did a few more presentations. The big wig showed up, Professor Wole Soyinka, and this was after I had worked with Professor Olarotimi of blessed memory, Professor Dakwade Lugba, Professor Femi Oshofisan, all these names that even the West, they adore. You know, and you have to be good, though.
Yeah,
you have to have it to be part of their crew. You know, so Professor Wole Soyinka showed up, and it was time to start trotting, you know, like Globetrotters doing plays out in and out of Nigeria. As I had my stints of most parts of Europe, America, and all of that. But again, I always decided to come back home. After a while, it looked like it dried up. I, migrated to radio production, did that for a minute. Then this issue of film started. And there was this tribal sentiment. Even if you're good, they will say, this guy is not Onya Buronyi, happy and very small role. Or the Yorubas will say, Fiomo ele, Kinshe Yomotiwa, Olegbaro, that he's not part of us. He's not Yoruba, his name is Basi. So I got fed up, and then I decided to relocate to the United States, where I did double-digit number of years. God blessed me. I did a major movie called Josephine Doe. You'll find it on Amazon. It's won a few awards in some of the, platforms out there, and it's on Amazon. And then I was also in Don Cheadle's Miles Ahead. Even though it wasn't a significant role, but no role is insignificant.
It's a small role, yes.
So, but I was proud to be in there as a Nigerian actor, and they had a perception that if you're coming from this part of the world, you're not as cool as they are. But when we got into it, they were like, wow, bruh, where are you coming from? They even offered to say, when you get to Hollywood, come and stay with me in California. But I mean, I chose not to because I saw some handwriting and decided to back off. Yeah, I am in Nigeria now. Stayed in Lagos for a year. Saw how crazy. If I couldn't live in New York, I can't live in Lagos. So I came back to Akwa Ibom because the dream is actually to develop this part of the world in the arts too. We've developed Lagos. A lot of strangers are out there developing that place. And now they're blossoming. So what's going on with the rest of the little states?
Exactly.
Let's come back home, regardless of, and that's what passion is all about. It comes with pain. It doesn't have to be gains all the time. So you have to be able to take that. As long as we raise people, train people, so people can diversify from the traditional kinds of jobs they do here, ride bikes, be houseboys and housegirls. Come on, guys, get into something new.
Exactly.
Open your horizon and then see the world. And that's the only way we can make our place very comfortable, acceptable. Even though we're very hospitable people, that's not enough. Hospitality doesn't just pay. So that's where we are today, and that's how I've arrived here.
That's so interesting. Actually, guys, I told you, I'm sitting in royalty. Like, he has this talking about, oh my God. But, some people will tag you crazy for leaving America to come back to Nigeria. Talk less of Uyo, Akwa. Like, what? Like, okay, even if he came back to Nigeria, why didn't you stay in Lagos? But he, like, as if he's regressing. I mean, like, do you feel that way sometimes? Like, why did I ever leave there to come back?
Nah. I live here. I work in Lagos. I work in Abuja. I work in Ibadan. I mean, and they're significant jobs. It's just a flight away. If you have what it takes, they will come for you. So I don't bother about that. So for those who understand, they know that it's time to bring this part of the world up. A few of my colleagues, my contemporaries, just came to town. There's a movie we just finished. I'll just mention Kepi Ekpenyang Basi, Bimbo Akintola, Femi Branch. And somebody was asking me, what are you doing here? Like, man, we have to develop this part of the world. Sorry. Oh, now you want developer. Somebody has to do it. So I've chosen to be part of it. I'm not crazy. The money, we need the money, but you see, if you look at the money right now, you really can't get it. You won't touch it. Just train, be responsible, be part of those who will groom the next generation towards professional standards. The money will eventually come.
So it's just like, in a way, not paying your dues per se, but putting in an investment that would yield a return.
Overpaid the dues.
Do you have? Oh, you have overpaid. Like, I think we owe you some dues. Some dues change.
Dues that has to start paying me some dues now. But it, like you rightly said, the word is investing. Giving back. And that will eventually pay off too.
That's crazy. I mean, to be able to function in this type of industry, there's a certain level of confidence you need to have.
Right.
So, like, you need to be able to because I've been in the industry myself. I've been in the industry for over 7 years now. I started off as a fashion stylist. Then I moved into costume design. I've costume designed like 4 motion pictures.
Wow.
And also also do custom design consultations, and now I just got into acting, which you happen to be one of my acting coaches. Hello. So, but it takes. Thank you so much, sir. Like, no, I would say I learned so much by just watching you, and then just hearing about your experience inspired me so much. But to be able to function in this industry, you need some level of confidence and understanding of self and self-worth.
Yes.
So it's like how easy is it to get trapped in that bubble of fame if you don't have a sense of self, if you don't have a sense of self-understanding?
There's something called management. You know, management is across the board. Even in your little nucleus of a home, you have to be able to manage family, manage resources, manage everything. Fame is a very dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
It can destroy you.
Yeah.
It takes you up there, and by the time, if you don't know how to manage it and you flow with it, you're going to end up on your butt, and it's not going to be pretty. Personally, I have been able to, not deliberately, but strategically, not put myself in the forefront of, you know, the media, where I want to be seen, you know, let the jobs speak. You know, I don't want to start, you know, pussyfooting around journalists, say, come and interview me, put me out there. It's really risky and dangerous. You don't have a privacy. So what I enjoy is the privacy that I have. What goes on, nobody really knows, but you see me work, you see me come in. And that level of confidence you're talking about, confidence comes with training. You know, you can't just wake up. It's one thing to have the skill. Like people say, acting is talent, and talent is inside of you. Yes, but talent that's not brushed, that's not trimmed, is no talent. All you end up doing is concert. You know, you're just doing concert around. You know, but if you have it, and you further go and groom yourself, and I give you an analogy. Somebody who can just cut, you know, a dress and run it through with needle is not as professional as a seamstress, a trained seamstress who can, you know, hem properly and do all of the nice designs and, you know, embroideries and all of that. So there's a big difference between the two of them. It's the same thing in the arts. You know, you have talent, okay, come and read a script. They start reading their script. You hear a lot of, you know, language error. You hear a lot of nuances that aren't supposed to be there, punctuations that's not right there, and then pronunciations that are wrong. And then you wonder, did you get any training? Then you bring a professional actor, they just glide through it, everything easy. And then you even imagine the picture of what they're talking about. And then you see the difference. So confidence is there, but the other person, once they're done, they're looking at you for approval. The professional doesn't need your approval. They're like, hey, do you have something? Do you have something else? Let's go. You know, so that confidence is there because we have struggled, we have gone through it. We've been pummeled upside down. And now it's just bring it on and let's do it.
Do you think that confidence or lack of it is associated with one's level of self-esteem? Like, do you like?
Yes, it's related.
Yeah.
Again, if we have to look at it from both angles, what actually is self-esteem? You know, psychologists will tell you that is an individual's subjective appraisal of themselves. You know, self-respect, self-regard, self-esteem, you know, self-worth, self-value. You know, if you don't have training, you don't have confidence. So you don't, that self-esteem is low because as you're approaching, you're asking yourself 1,000,001 questions and there are butterflies jumping around. But if you have training, your self-esteem is high, not inflated because it can be dangerous. You know, you have the inflated ones, you have the high ones, and you have very low ones. You know, so the low ones is what we're dealing with in terms of it's a problem. It can run you into depression and suicide. Some of this come from all of that. You know, so it's related to that self-esteem. If you're confident, you're balanced. You can face anything. You know, you can open up and speak. You can interact. You can ask questions and get answers, and intelligent questions too. You know, so that's it.
What do you feel, or what do you think kills one's self-esteem? Because I mean, I've seen people that had or that walk around with this level of, oh, I know how to do it, but when you're faced with it, you just see them quiver and they shrink. So what do you think is that thing that makes people's self-esteem shrink, or what kills it?
From experience, and again, like they say, charity begins at home. The kind of structure you're raised in, you know, plays a role. You know, so your early childhood, you know, is another thing. If you come from a home where you are they're critical always and not, you know, objective and not make you understand, but they are negatively criticizing you all the time, you will always shrink. You will think you're no good. So wherever you go, their voices will be echoing. So even when your parents are saying something, you have an idea.
Yeah.
But because you always hear this voice that you're never good, you can't, you just keep quiet.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have that approval of self.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have that confidence. So you just keep your mouth shut. Secondly, it can be from school. You know, if you're not doing well in class, you tend to be low in your self-esteem because you don't have confidence. So when those who are doing great, for instance, they say it's break time, you see all those who are doing great, they pair up, they're hanging out, they're chit-chatting, but you just recoil to a corner, and then it becomes very easy for those who have over-inflated self-esteem to bully you. Yeah, they start poking, and that can run you. Good enough here in the West, in Africa, people are not, you know, open to just going to commit suicide.
Yeah,
you know,
we like life too much in this country.
But if it's out there in the West, you see a little kid, just bully them once and twice, say something about their body mass, you know. Yeah. Just say something about their face, their hair, or their shoes, or their background. The next thing is they go home and kill themselves. Which is really wrong.
I mean, I'm actually interested in knowing what the difference between those mindsets are. How come people over there thinking that, I mean, like they can easily kill themselves, and compared to someone here that would just go home and cry and then come back the next day?
The upbringing they have there is different from the upbringing we have here. Even though we don't have everything, I mean, it's not across board. Yeah. Even though we don't have any, generally most people don't have it, but they have this, you know, family interaction. Some of them are not as critical, so they are involved in their children's day-to-day well-being. Yes. But out there, daddy is busy flying in and out, mommy is an executive, nobody is home. And then you're having nannies. Nannies don't care. You know, nannies just want to earn their own greens or Benjamins and get their money. Very few of them do care. And then the kid is left at home. You buy the kids everything, video games, clothes, then you stack food and everything at home. That don't help anything. Yeah. I mean, we've heard situations where kids just go into their father's armory, pull out guns and start killing.
Oh, God, that's
the worst.
That's
a problem with self-esteem and unguided childhood. You know, so that's the difference, you know. Parents don't care out there as much as we care here, even though we don't have the wherewithal here.
That's crazy. So, I mean, you're right to an extent, because a lot of us in our generation, I'm talking like us and like those born between like 90s and early 2000s, we were raised in a society that didn't give you a voice. So growing up as a parent, you can't talk when your adults are talking. What are you? When the adults are talking, you go away.
Only speak
when you're spoken to. And even as children, you know, when we grew up with parents, I mean, our parents are, when African parents, to be precise, they're not really good at taking. I would say it to don't come for me, mom and dad. But I mean, if you speak to anyone in my generation, they will tell you like, most of our parents, they're not really good at apologizing for an error, because I mean, they created this world where parents can't be wrong about anything. So even when, I mean, children as children, they are filled with innocence. So when they see something bad, they was like, but that's bad. So it is so natural for them to just say,
then you
get punished. We get pounded. How dare you? That's an insult. How dare you even say that? But in growing up like that, so the children start to feel like, wait, was that my fault? I know what I saw. That was wrong. So even their parents would never come back and say, okay, no, I'm sorry. You're actually right. I was wrong. So we grew up with this, with that. We grew up in that environment, and if you see a lot of people in our generation don't walk around with that shoulders up. I mean, I would tell you, most people between the ages of, I would say, 25 to like 35 have seen or are currently seeing a therapist, and those are the ones that have taken the decision to want to be better, and other people are just wilding out.
And that's dangerous for generations to come.
Exactly.
Because if the parents are not informed, you know, informed to a level where they should be able to apologize and set the child's mindset right, then this kid is going to grow up with that kind of mentality. And when the kid grows up with that kind of mentality, is handing over the baton to their own children. So listen, it's all a mess going up, you know, and then when that happens, then the whole society is convoluted.
So at what age do you think we should need to start grooming kids on self-love and self-esteem?
Okay, psychologists have said that between the ages of 7 and 11, if I'm accurate, kids start developing their social and cognitive, stands and positions. So socially and cognitively, they are beginning to be very sensitive.
Yeah.
So at such level, you have to be careful what you do, what you say, and then you have to also bring them up to speed. So those brackets, that particular bracket is when you have to start paying attention, because the kids now, they recognize exactly what is wrong from right.
Yeah.
So whatever you do count.
Wow, that's interesting. Because I have a 4-year-old, and I feel like I'm living with my granddad. Because he's the one person, I will say this honestly, he's the one person that actually puts me in check.
Okay.
So I would tell him, oh, you're not supposed to put your shoes scatter. When you come back, arrange your shoes. And then one day I'll come back, maybe I'm tired, I just throw my shoes on. He now comes out, Mommy, your shoes are scattered. You know the rules. You're not supposed to. I'm like, oh, okay. It's what you give me. I'm giving it back to you. Right. So, and at that point, I'm like, you know what? You're right. And I go ahead, and because if I wanted to go with the way we were raised, it's like, for you, why would you tell me I scattered my shoes? You are supposed to go and pick up the shoes and arrange it almost immediately.
Again, pay attention to something. When you were growing up, I can't say this, assertively, the kind of orientation and background you grew up in is not where the man is growing up in.
Exactly.
The kind of school he's attending, the colors and pictures and the rhymes and all of that is different. And because you are informed, the standard that you give him at home is equally different from the way you were given.
Yeah.
So now he is 4.
Yeah.
But he's thinking like a 14-year-old man.
Yeah.
So that's when they say, this is a grandpa reincarnate. He's your husband already.
You're my wife. I was like, no, honey.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
Your mom. I'm your mom. But you're my best friend. Yes, we're best friend, but I'm still your mom.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So that's also plays a role.
Yeah.
They are growing up and the kinds of environment, the stuff they're exposed to.
Yeah.
How many of us had video games growing up?
None of us.
So they have all of those, and then they have some very interesting and intelligent education or informative softwares and entertainment games. So this builds their cognitive real quick.
Yeah.
So we struggled to know by the time we were 17. These kids are knowing already before they're 10.
Because they are exposed to if information is in our fingertips,
right? And
then they are exposed. They're letting me know what way I can just pick up mommy's phone and I see something or I hear something, and then
some of them manipulate the computer
phone.
And the phones even better than adults of 30, 40 years.
Yeah, he knows the password to my phone. He's like, oh, I can't put your phone. How did you know that? But funny enough, as we were talking, like, a thought came to my head. So when we were growing up, we played outside with people.
Right.
And then these kids are playing inside and they're smarter. So is the outside the problem?
No, the outside is not the problem. The outside is not the problem. It's actually the inside, with, like we said earlier, the kinds of, interior, your parentage that you have. Yeah. It's not because even we who played more on the outside, we're physically stronger.
Yeah.
We're a lot healthier.
Yeah.
That's not taken away from the fact that you play inside, you're not stronger and you're not healthier. But you see, we're open to a lot of stuff. That's why you see some people are athletes, and they do very well.
Yeah.
And they built a lot of footballers from that era too, those who were in the sports. So it has really nothing
to do with
right.
So I was going over our statistics for the self-esteem pandemic. I would say, because it's a pandemic, guys, it's a thinking disorder. We've noticed that a lot of females are the ones struggling with this self-esteem issue, because even from the stats, you could say 70% of girls between the ages of 15 and 17 are the ones that stay back from school, not the boys. So what is it about self-esteem that is so predominant with females, with young women?
I'll give a shot at that. We have the cultural factor, one.
Yeah.
We have the religious factor, two.
Okay.
Cultural factor almost ties into the religious factor, even though the religious factor is not as strong as a cultural factor. Women are not supposed to be heard. They just come in, serve, and disappear, and all of that. So the woman is always quiet, just comes in, serves, and disappears.
Okay, so we're talking about the why females are the ones that experience this problem with self-esteem.
So, as I was saying, I mean, we've seen where the cultural aspect affects women a lot.
Yeah.
And then as they grow up, it affects the mothers, the daughters who eventually become mothers, and they transfer that to their daughters. The church thing is not as bad, but again, they still say women be subservient.
Yeah.
But respect your husband and, and all of that. But the most important thing is when women start growing into their, the ages of 14 and 15, where they attain puberty, now their body starts changing. You understand? So the worries of why am I growing fatter when I should be thin? And all of that starts affecting their mindset. So they're struggling to want to be thin, and they're thinking about what people will be saying, so that also affects them. I mean, amidst a host of other stuff, so that is one of the stuff that predominantly affects women.
And also, in my own way, I think society as well. I mean, you touched on society, but there's this thing where there's a standard to what people think beauty is. TV, for example, magazines and all this stuff. It's easier for you to get a women's magazine than to get like a male's magazine or GQs. And the GQs are not as popular as the one for the girls, where they will tell you your hair has to, sexy means your hair looks a certain way, your body looks a certain way. So, and those type of ads are usually pushed towards the women. Or as a woman, you should look this way, you should act this way. And then you now look at yourself like, oh, I look nothing like that girl on TV. My hair looks like that. So that means I am not beautiful. So you now start to tell yourself those things, and then you start to believe them. You now walk around with this slouch like, oh, I'm not good. So in a way, the information that is our kids are being fed with on what the standard is or shouldn't be is what's killing them. Because I would say, like, who invented the standard of beauty?
Who actually
who's a judge of what beauty is? I mean, like you talked about it, the little girl thinking, oh, why am I growing fatter, not thinner? So they haven't been educated with the fact that everybody's body is different. Some people are born to be this way, and some people are born to be in this, but not everybody's going to be skinny, not everybody's going to be fat. I mean, like, our bodies are different. So.
Let me chip this in real quick. It just came to me. There was one time where society appreciated light-skinned women.
Yes.
So even the dark-skinned women felt like they were not good
beautiful
enough.
Exactly.
So you found people running into the stores buying, what do they call this stuff that they use to change their skin?
Bleaching creams.
Bleaching cream.
Yes.
And then you see somebody who was as dark as the back of a pot yesterday, all of a sudden now light, with knuckles looking black and elbows looking dark. But men still went for them. Again, the issue was, oh no, nobody wants to deal with fat women. We like skinny,
slim,
and all of that. Then you saw women drinking God knows what, just to try. They picked up all forms of diseases and illnesses. Some died, some were, help. Again, the trend has changed. Men now say they want women on the plus size. So now you find women who are on the small size. Doing everything possible to, gain weight. And so all of this affects, their self-esteem. And again, while we even talk about the female, let's also know that self-esteem affects the male kids.
I was going to get to that.
Because a lot of them, again, we still have to trace it to their background. Same place how they were raised, the kind of parents they had, if they were informed parents or uninformed parents. They did stuff in the mundane way, traditional way, hush you down when you're supposed to speak. And when you know something is right, they tell you, shut up, get inside. Because, and then when they grow up, come to school, they carry this baggage back into school. They feel they're no good, they're misfits. That affects their ability to learn, their ability to interact with friends. And then when you look at other people who are even looking very cute in terms of what they're wearing, and you imagine that the quality is better than yours, that further digs you down the water.
Yeah.
You know, so the male child also suffers from this. So while we're focusing on female children, we should do well to also think about, because if you now work on building the self-esteem of the women and leave the men alone. So now you're endangering the women to go get married to men with low self-esteem, who will turn around, instead of having a conversation over a little problem, they will use muscle. You know, so that's a danger.
That's interesting. You know? Okay, so but also, you can say that men that batter are suffering from some kind of insecurity.
One of the causes of domestic violence and all of that. I mean, domestic violence again on both ways, because some women are stronger than men.
Hey, I've heard stories. Hey, I've heard stories of this woman brushing the life out of the house. I said, wait, what? And the man just stood there.
Didn't he find that out before he went in?
Because the signs, they always show the signs.
Put some speed to your legs.
To your legs, bro. Like, what, you just stood there and let her beat you up? I know there's some men that are not shameless, but like I ran for my life. Like I say that proudly.
It's better you say it than more people to say it, because if you say it once or twice, they'll know that he's not even bothered. So we can. But stay in there and be cute.
Stay and be cute.
No, it ain't gonna happen.
Amen.
No.
Love yourself enough to walk away from anything that is going to destroy you, no matter how much you want to, you feel attached to that thing. Because I feel like we always know what's gonna kill us, but we just do it anyway. It's like, you know this is gonna kill you, right? So why are you still here? So we
have a funny mentality, and we attach everything to spirituality. Yes,
and that's let's not get started. That's a whole different sermon. That's a whole different episode. But I mean, what part do you think we can play as people, as an individual? Because I mean, I give like a briefly when I passed by and I gave this guy a compliment about his hair. I was like, that's a way we can help, because people always say, hey, he has so low self-esteem, that's his problem, that's their problem, I don't have it. So like there's this self-righteous, like, I don't have the problem, so that's why I'm good, I'm perfect. But what parts do you think we can play in reducing this pandemic? I would like to call
the first thing we can do is identify those who have this problem. And you have to be sure that they're actually suffering from self-esteem, low self-esteem in this case. And when you identify that they have that problem, you also seek to find the root cause. If it's coming from the home, or if it's coming from school, or it's coming from peer group influence, you know. And once you identify that, because a problem known is a problem half solved. Once you know that, then you can go move your arsenals or your machineries or your manpower in there, direct it right, and then start building from there. Because one of the symptoms is, if somebody was suffering from a low esteem, which is slightly a mental case too, you know, the more serious it gets. If they walk into this room, even if everybody says, how you doing? They'll be like, good afternoon. And they tend to answer in monosyllabic tones, you know, short speech coded people. What's your name? Michael. How you doing? Fine. Where are you from? Zuribam. Are you okay? Yes.
You can almost read that this person,
and then when you give them a chance, even if it's a party, you offer them something, they'll be like, no, thank you, because they just they don't feel like
worthy to be there.
Something they should say, excuse me for, they replace it with, I'm sorry. You haven't done anything wrong. Because they just don't feel that they should be there. You know, they're not fit enough and all of that. So once you identify, that's the first thing. You identify the root cause of the problem, identify the person, in this case, you call them a patient. You know, psychologists should go to work. Here, people are not informed enough to know the benefits or the advantages of using or engaging a psychologist.
They don't even know what the problem is. They don't even know that they're suffering from the problem.
And we don't have enough of them again. And then the few ones we have, sorry to say, the system is such that most of them who will tell you that they've been trained are not properly
actually suffering from some kind.
It's like walking with a psychiatrist who himself has schizophrenia. How are you going to treat schizophrenia?
Like, two sick people Trying to figure out how to. Oh my
You
god!
know.
But like, let's flip the switch because we've been talking a lot about low self-esteem. What
Right.
about the guys that have those inflated self-esteem and
It's-
call it confidence? It's like
it's a time bomb. waiting
it's
to
a time
explode.
bomb with, and then that's I feel like that's where narcissism is birthed because you
Actually,
walk around with this stuff of I should be glorified.
I'm better than
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
else.
And
If I am not there, it's not going to
it's
happen.
not gonna happen.
You know,
Exactly.
if my spin is not on it, then it's not going to work. But most of the time, they are the ones who tip the keg.
You know,
And
but
then they
that's
don't know how
true.
to say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's the worst. That's the worst. So wait, where's like I feel like there's a thin line between that like confidence and like narcissistic overinflated.
Well, if you call it a thin line, I mean, I don't even see the line. I think it's an all the way thing. You know, there is no thin line. Once you are suffering from overinflated ego, you know,
It
over
shows.
self-confidence,
It shows.
it just, you are a danger to society. Yes, you are, like I said, a time bomb waiting to explode.
True.
You know, everywhere you go, you'll just be dropping farts and then go. You know, especially if you're a boss of a company, you will run your company down.
you're true.
Because you
True.
don't have one, you don't have a listening ear. You know, you just do this, do that. Sir, it wasn't going. My friend, I said do it. Then when it gets messed up, you bring the blame back to the
onto
same people
person
who
that
tried
told
to,
you that. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
so they never see themselves doing anything wrong. They are the best everywhere and
Yeah.
the best without any verifiable, you know, digits to
Yeah,
show.
and that's the worst. Because if you talk this so much about how good you are, I should be able to equate it to how well you're doing. Because you can't talk this much and then you're like, it doesn't match.
It's like in the arts. I'll use the entertainment industry, for example. I have been privileged to run into a few actors at audition venues. And when I come in like everybody. Even if I know people on the panel, I don't come seeking to be, hey, Basi, yeah, you have a role already. Hey, start. No. I come in and I mingle with those who I don't know and they don't know me.
Yeah.
I was opportune to be sitting with a group of people, and one lady was asking me, is this your first time acting? I looked at her and said, yes. And she was like, hey, look, it's a long road, though. Anyway, I can help you. Yeah, you have to pay money here. Me, I've been acting for 5 years. I'm like, 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So I'm your great-grandfather, you know. And she said she was going to help. When they bring the script, she would teach me how to do it and all of that.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Only to find out that this lady couldn't even read.
Oh, wow.
So when they brought the script, she went ahead. She was struggling. I read. So I told her, I said, let me direct you a bit. How can you direct me? You that don't even know anything. You know.
Oh, wow.
I said, okay. Luckily, one of the young men on the panel just spotted me. Mr. Basi, you are here. You are not supposed to even read. Please, 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 please. Who gave you the script? Please bring the script. I said, no, I'd like to do it. He said, no, sir. No, it's a waste of our time. We already know. So the lady turned around and was like, so you've been acting before? Yeah, lying.
Like, you're not making about the fact that you lied, not the fact that you're trying to. Wow.
Because I won't tell you, you know, since you're the boss, show me the
Show me
way.
right.
Only to find this is an empty barrel, man.
And they
sound
always,
it.
excuse me, they always make the loudest noises, which is. So, Mr. Bassett, like, tell us what is it? Like, what are you working on now? Like, what's in for you? What's the next
I
thing?
have a baby project that has been in the working since 2018, actually. I'm not the type who rush, you know. I take time to make that soup. So when it comes out, it will be something tasty enough for everybody to eat.
Yeah.
It's a traditional piece. It's an 18th century story from the Oron, you know, climb.
Yeah.
We're still deciding if we should, you know, do it in the dialect completely and do, what do you call it? You know, translations on screen for people to read.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we also want to market ourselves.
Exactly.
And then we're making contact with a few professional crew outside the country. They're Nigerians, though, but they work abroad. You know, see how they can be involved in terms of the technical angle. Then we have actors here, great actors who we're trying to involve. You know, should I just say this too? Funny enough, your name is on the list.
Watch out, world. I'm coming.
And the title of the piece is Okbobribong.
Oh, wow.
You know, we can get that. Is one man whom, after he passed, because he was so good to animals, especially birds. When he passed, he wasn't buried on the ground. Birds showed up on the day of his funeral where they were supposed to bury him, and they carried his body out of the space. You know, people never
Did that
saw
really
it.
happen? Is that a myth?
Happened.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
it's not a myth. It happened. It's a true story that happened in Oran, and they still have land banks.
Wow.
Yes, even though development over years and they've distorted a few places, it should be a tourist center.
Wow.
You know, and if it's well marketed and publicized, you'll have people from, you know, white people like things like that. And come and see.
It's very annoying, the fact that we have so many languages in Nigeria and so many variety of cultures,
Right.
and we haven't made movies that touches on each of these languages and each of these cultures. So we keep centering about the same storyline.
Right.
We're not English people.
Nope.
We hardly see Yoruba films, plainly Yoruba, like that actually make it in cinema or film festival. The movies in Ibibio, movies in Oron, in Anang.
The problem is we have very few professionals who have vision. You know, who see beyond the ordinary.
Yeah.
So who want to bring our own to the table.
Yeah.
You know, so what we have, because the structure right now in Nigeria, there's a structure. They have guilds, they have all of this stuff and all of that. They are represented, they meet with the presidency. But the structure is still looking like an uncompleted building.
Yeah.
The doors are not there. The lintel level is there, but there are no doors. There are no, what do you call it, guards. And so every Tom, Jack, Harry, everybody jumps in. So you find a lady who's sleeping at night in a brothel, wakes up in the morning, makes up, and then she says, I'm an actor. You know, what do you do? I'm an actor. But at night, you're hanging. But that's what we see. And then you see all those men who are, you know, not really disciplined. They'll have a taste for them.
Yeah.
Not because they want to help them grow professionally as actors, but they want something else.
They want something
That's
for
why
themselves.
people say what they say about actors, which again is not 100% true.
Yeah.
Actors are very, very disciplined
They're
people.
the most hardworking people I
Very
know.
disciplined. Hard work, talk about hard work. Those guys go. And it's just
Yeah.
that the remuneration right now, you have hyenas
We
and
need to
vultures.
fast and pray for that. I mean, I don't know what it is we need to do, but actors need to start getting properly paid in Nigeria. I don't know who is standing in the way of obstructing that.
It's going to grow. It's going to grow
Yeah.
because even in the US, it didn't get there in one day.
Yeah.
You know, even right now, they're still underpaying, you know,
Yeah.
actors, but it's building. Here in Nigeria, it's building. At least the A-list actors out there are
doing
making
their
something
thing.
good, you know. And then, but again, before we even talk about payment and all of that, training is very important.
Very important.
A lot of people don't want to get trained.
That's
You know,
true.
and then the few ones who get trained, because there's no money, they run into the banks and order, you know, run to oil companies and be PR, public relations, you know, secretary to. You know. No, but people like us, we die here.
We die here. Mr. Bassi, thank you so much. It was just an honor having you here in our very first episode of Real Talk. I mean, before we round up, I would like just say something, just like one sentence word to someone that you feel like is going to hear this and is going to need it. One thing that you feel like, because for me, I would say, I mean, the word that came to me while we were talking is no matter what it is that you're doing, once you know something's going to kill you, don't hold on to it. Let it go. Let it go. Like, let it go. Better things will come to you.
I really don't know who this is from, but I'll use this. Every door that looks closed is not locked. If you push, you can get your way through. So do not let low self-esteem make you not achieve your goal.
That's it. It's a wrap. I mean, I can't top that. Thank you so much, Mr.
It's a
Bassi,
pleasure
for
again.
coming here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Real Talk with Enojeri. Real Talk with EJ. I am Enojeri, and thank you for having me. I'll see you next time.